everyone. If you hear a bit of background noise, it is a beautiful day. There is music playing downstairs, there is people mowing their lawns. It is a beautiful day for a barbecue, which I will be going to later today. It's a very, very nice day. But I want to talk about the book that I just finished, which is called When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. Oppressed, Unleashed and Reborn. That is your front cover. Let's get straight in with that blurb for you. In a world where girls and women are taught to be quiet, the dragons inside them are about to be set free. Alex Green is 4 years old when she first sees a dragon. In her next door neighbour's garden, in the spot where the old lady usually sits, is a huge dragon, an astonished expression on its face before it opens its wings and soars away across the rooftops. And Alex doesn't see the little old lady after that. No one mentions her. It's as if she's never existed. Then Alex's mother disappears and reappears a week later, one quiet Tuesday, with no explanation whatsoever as to where she has been. But she is a ghostly shadow of her former self, with scars across her body, wide, deep burns, as though she has been attacked by a monster who breathed fire. Alex, going from young girl to fiercely independent teenager, is desperate for answers, but doesn't get any. Whether anyone likes it or not, the mass dragoning is coming, and nothing will be the same after that. Everything is about to change forever, and when it does, this too will be unmentionable. This is in fantasy and journal fiction and is 352 pages. I loved this book. I absolutely loved it. This is a firm favourite. I can't remember the last time I've said that I loved a book this much. It reminded me of when I read Handmaid's Tale for the first time. And it's weird to say that I loved Handmaid's Tale because of how dark that is. This has a very similar feel to it, but it's almost like the opposite. It's like a dystopia, but it's in the past. And it's very rooted in feminism to begin with, and then it kind of expands into just general prejudice, as well as looking at like the patriarchy and things. There's so many layers to this book, and for what is essentially a fantasy book about women that turn into dragons, it's just, it's set in the 1950s in America, and there are lots of references to, I think it's 1956, which is the mass dragoning, and you see young Alexandra Alex, as she is in the book, and you see her growing up in a world that refuses to acknowledge what is happening around them. And so it's that very traditional mindset of women belong at home, in the kitchen, bringing up the families, and the idea of women going off to college and studying maths and science, like that's almost like a complete no-no. And Alex is an incredibly smart young woman who is good at maths like her mother was, and she has interests like going out into the world, whereas her father is there going, I will not pay for your education, you know. After high school, I am not going to support a further education. You need to find a nice man, get married and settle down. But Alex doesn't want to do that. And this is all happening in a world where women have dragons within them and a calling to turn. And that's what the mass dragoning is. It's when a lot of women and girls transform, and the descriptions of the transformations are quite incredible. And you know that it's not just happening in America, it's happening all over the world. And the world is in denial. Like, the news isn't allowed to report on it. And you do also have chapters where you aren't looking at Alex's point of view. It's like research papers looking at the history of women turning into dragons. There's also references to people who were not born as women transforming into dragons. So I feel there's so many layers to this, and proving that, I mean, in a world where we're still talking about like the definition of a woman, like what is the definition of a woman? And I don't think there's a one description. It's whatever you feel describes you. And I know that's a bit of interesting subject for some people, but it does make you think about that, because in this book it's described as almost like a fire, because within them are dragons, and when they transform, they take off their clothes, they shed their skin, and yeah, the descriptions of that are absolutely beautiful. But you're seeing young Alex, and she's never really felt that same fire as the other girls who are transforming. And so after years of Alex being told, no, what you saw didn't happen, and being in complete denial of the world as it is in this book, to the point when they can't keep ignoring it, and it coming to the idea of like it's treason almost to talk about the idea, you know, it's un-American to talk about the mass dragonings that are happening. And you find out that the 50s, the one that's at the heart of this book in 1956 isn't the only one. There's another one that happens later in the book. Through the research papers you find out about dragoning throughout history, and as I'm reading it, just like I could almost believe that this is real. Like, it is something that governments over the world would be in denial about. It felt very real because of those in-between chapters where you're looking at research and you're looking at history. And yeah, I just absolutely loved this book. It was so clever and wonderful, and it was actually inspired by something that happened during Trump's presidency, when Christine Blasey Ford stood up and said about her experience with that man. The fact that it was inspired by that event is quite incredible, and obviously that didn't have the outcome that we wanted. And to be fair, even this book doesn't quite have the outcome that you want. I just caught sight of the front cover again, and I just think it's beautiful. I love the dragon just hidden within the flowers. You can see the eye, and oh, it's just stunning. Yeah, I just absolutely adore this book. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and it kind of unleashed a fire in me almost. Like, I can almost believe that there is a dragon bubbling under the surface, and the way that Alex is treated and the way people respond to the women flying away, it really does put feminism and the patriarchy under a bit of a microscope, of realising just how we have been treated over the years, and you know, how feminism is actually really important. And it's not about men bashing, it's about letting women be women, whatever that definition is for you, and just standing up for yourself and believing in yourself. Oh, there's so much. I've barely scraped the surface, but I don't want to spoil it for people who do read it. So much happens. I absolutely adore this book. This is one I would gladly purchase and display on my wall, because admittedly I told everybody about this book as I was reading it and telling them how wonderful and incredible I thought it was. Like, I gave blood yesterday. I've got like a little patch on my arm where it's been a bit sore. But yeah, I just kept, because you know, when you give blood, it's like 10-15 minutes. Well, for me it was like 7 minutes and 50 seconds. I beat my own record, and I was just lying there doing my little exercises to get the blood flow, and I was just reading just all the three women that were looking after me. I was just like, this is the book that I'm reading, and I really recommend it. Like, I recommend it to everybody. And yeah, it just says perfect fans for The Handmaid's Tale, Vox and The Power. I actually haven't heard of the other two, so. But yeah, to put it as almost like a dystopia bit in the past is just probably the way I describe it. It almost feels like something that could happen in the future. It's women releasing the dragons within. Yeah. I'm obsessed with this book. Obsessed with it. I absolutely loved it. When Women Were Dragons, Kelly Barnhill. Tagline is obsessed, unleashed, reborn. Oh, it was just so good. It was just so good. I just loved it. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with another video. Stay safe, everybody. I love you all.